Okay, welcome everyone to the end of the week market wrap video. I'm gonna cover how the markets ended, and then we're gonna talk about gold miners. All right, I think there's some real opportunity there. I'm seeing some good positive bullish signs. So I'm always looking for the next kind of swing trade, and right now that's the trade that I see as potentially the best sector right now. So let's start out with the markets, and we'll look at the Qs. All right, so basically, today we closed basically in the same technical position as we did yesterday. We have a downtrend line in the Qs right here. We've been making a series of lower highs and lower lows. Yesterday we broke that downtrend line. Today they gapped it down back below, but then rallied it throughout the day back above. All right, so I don't know what to make of that. I guess it can go either way. Obviously, yesterday it looked bullish, then it gapped down. That could happen again on Monday, or we could gap up. It's kind of, they're keeping us all guessing, basically. So the way I approach this, because I just don't know specifically which way it's going to go, is I just went home flat. I didn't take a triple Q's position home, and just went home flat that until I get a little more information to figure out where things are going. Now, if we start trading, start making our way up, then I think it's very likely that we'll head up and fill this gap at 330.40. And if we break down, then I think it's likely that we're going to basically undercut this 297. We're going to fall down, make a new low, and probably come in and get into this area on the next leg down. All right, maybe we'll find some support probably down here at this 285 area. So that's kind of where things are at. They're leaving us guessing. Again, Monday, hopefully we get a little more information. If we gap back down again, what I'm waiting for, I think, in order to establish a short, they held this trend. Well, they really held this level right here at 314. Gap down, recovered it, and then held it pretty much all day, and then started to ramp into the close. Don't take too much about that ramp into the close. Don't put too heavy of a weighting on it. Again, an end of the day ramp on a Friday is not institutional participation for the most part. It's just retail trade. And retail trade is always going to be bullish. For the most part, it's just a constant bullish flow. Retail trade. When markets go down, retail traders lose money, and when markets go up, they make money. You've got 401ks there and whatnot. So when you have end of the day Friday, when the institutions are really done for the week, you just have that leftover super low volume, constant bullish flow. All right, something to take note of. Now, yeah, so we'll just leave that at like that, and we'll see what next week brings. Moving on. And before I get too far into it, guys, I will probably do a live stream tomorrow morning. I'm going to put up a premiere video. I think it just tells everyone that there's going to be a live stream tomorrow. Hopefully, I've got the technical difficulties figured out. So again, I'll probably be doing that right around 8:30, 9 o'clock Pacific time. Okay, so now we get into it. SPY, again, nothing, no sell signals on SPY, no technical change. We're just kind of grinding higher. SPY closing up, obviously. Made an all-time new high for the week, but today they, closed a little bit below that. Or, it looks like it closed at that former close right there. Yeah. So no new all-time high on the close. Intra-week, yes. But if you look at the daily, we closed pretty much at that former high. So maybe it's a double top, who knows. But we'll just have to wait to see what happens, because I don't see any reason why this is just going to fall next week. So we got to wait for a sell signal, some sort of a breakdown, something to trigger that selling, and I don't see it. IWM closing pretty much right at resistance, just a hair below. But major resistance sitting right up there. Let me get rid of this big circle mark. Major resistance sitting right up there at 234.50. So that's the level to watch. Since we're so close, we're probably going to overshoot it a little bit, pop above it. You'll probably see a day or two where we pop above it. And if that happens, look for that to fade. All right, if we pop above it and it fades and we break, and especially an impulsive break back down, that's your tell or your signal. That would be your sell signal, is what I'd be looking for on that one. Otherwise, if we never get above that trend line right there, up there at 234.50 or so, then I'd look for, let me go to the daily. I'd look for a break of this trend line right there. There's your daily chart. Just an impulsive break of that would be your next sell signal. So if we break above here, then an impulsive break below that would probably be a sell signal. Otherwise, this trend line. If you want to be conservative, depending on when we get there, if we pop above this, then I would just wait for a break of this trend line right here. Even if we come back down below it, just wait for the break. It's close enough to where, you know, it'll give you a little bit more accuracy in your trade if we get that. All right, let's look at the long bond. Lots of action happening here. Look at that. That's a bad close for that long bond. We gapped down today and closed pretty much, you know, not at the low, but definitely near the low on the long bond. So interest rates are now higher. Is basically interest rates are sitting on the 10-year Treasury at 1.64%, and so these are big moves in the interest rates. Again, that's making mortgages more expensive, car loans, pretty much any kind of consumer borrowing is becoming more expensive as the 10-year Treasury continues to drop. So what does that mean? You know, well, look, we go any lower. You know, if Monday we continue to go lower, if we gap down on Monday on the TLT, I think it's likely you're going to see the market start to sell off, and probably it'll start with tech. But again, you know, if tech really starts to sell off, it's likely going to make the next leg lower, like I just showed you, and I would really be surprised if SPY held up and did not have some sort of a correction or something this next round. So that's a possibility. We'll watch for that. Just keep an eye on that TLT. All right. Now, if the TLT, you know, moves higher from here, seems like tech and the markets are okay with rates being kind of in this area, but I don't think they're okay with rates being any higher. Which means if TLT goes any lower, the interest rates, which are inverse to the price of TLT, will go up. Look for more selling. All right. All right. So that's the markets. Let's look at the gold miners now. We'll just, let me go back to gold bullion. All right, so here's gold. So gold is still looking very strong. Look at the price action today. Gap down on the interest rates rising, but gold closed up today. So the interest rates continued to rise, and a pretty big move in interest rates today, and yet gold moved up. So that's relative strength. You know, gold typically moves inverse to the interest rates. You know, as interest rates move up, gold would move down. Today we saw the opposite. Gold was moving up, finding buyers, even though interest rates continued to move higher. Again, if interest rates can keep moving higher, then, you know, watch for gold to sell off. You know, I'm not exactly sure, but it relatively, you know, fundamentally, gold should move lower if the interest rates move higher. Technically, this is a pretty bullish candle and a pretty bullish day given what interest rates did. All right, so gold bullion, we've got this downtrend right here. This line, you know, I'm going to leave it. It's kind of I think we were kind of creating a secondary channel. We could probably move it something like this. Yeah. Or, you know, right in here. It's not the cleanest, to be honest. Something like that, maybe. And so we've got basically we've got some resistance right in here. We also have a kind of a reaction low right here. But again, this is that 1790 area. If we start to move higher and break above this line, kind of these lines, we should run into 1790 and find some resistance. All right. The sellers will be up there. And what does that mean? You know, well, we could break, come back, do a back test, and then test it again and finally break it. Or we could fail. But 1790 is really the level I'll be watching as your next major level of resistance. We just bounced off the lower trend line right here. So you've got a trend, there's a low, and there's a low. So we have a reactionary trend line down here. We just did a bounce off of that. So again, just watch the low, you know, we're downtrending and we are, you know, what looks to be like starting to build a base. Now, if we go to the daily, no bullish divergence yet on the daily. So that did get burned through right here. So again, that is something to take note of. That is important to understand that we don't have bullish divergence on gold on the daily. Let's check GLD, see if that gives us any kind of a different look. Yeah, same thing. No bullish divergence on the daily as well on either the RSI or the PPO. So that's something to take note of. Now, also on gold, on the GLD, you've got kind of a low right here. You have a reaction here, and we're getting a reaction right here. You can see we moved lower, we gapped above it, we came back down. This is where it held on support and rallied off. So the market's trying to use this trend line as a valid support area. Something to take note of. Just keep watching that. We could dip and make some lows, but I think we're kind of trying to hold this as a major support. Okay, let's just run through these miners. So the miners, many of them have bullish divergence. Even though the metal doesn't, the miners do. And oftentimes the miners will front run the metal. So you'll get the miners moving first, and then the metal will follow. So that might be playing out. BTG, we've got bullish divergence right down here. So all of these little wicks right here that made new lows were divergent lows because the momentum kept moving up. You can see it a little, if I get rid of this line, you can see it a little more clear right there. Okay, so you can just replicate that on your chart. Look at the PPO, bullish divergence right there. See how that's just making a higher low? And yet it made that higher low right here on a lower low of price. So there was your former low, there's your new low in price, but it was on higher momentum. So that's bullish. Now we just need to see some price action starting to build. I've got this trend line, not my favorite trend line to be honest. So I've got to you got to take this trend line that I have with a grain of salt. I only have 2 data points, and I really could just get rid of it just so nobody gets confused. If we just look at the chart like this, then you can see we've got, looks like, a downtrend here. Again, not my favorite downtrend either, just for the fact that we only have 2 data points. So again, I can't make a clean trend line. What I would look for is just a break back above 487. All right, so if you're buying down here, which is what I'm doing, a break back above 47. I'm seeing bullish setups in a lot of the miners. So the ones that don't look as bullish, I still like some of these. 47, I think, would be a break back above. That was your former resistance as we roll out. That was your former resistance here. And then once we broke above, it was support all through here, support through here. We've broken down. A recovery means that this is a false breakdown. All right. So if you want to be conservative, just wait for that break, or wait to get back above here and start to close a daily close above here, or a daily 1 or 2 day close above here is the signal I would use if you wanted to be conservative. Let's look at sand. Look at sand, downtrend line right here in Sandstorm Gold Limited, and bullish divergence. See how the momentum kept rising and rising. As I zoom in, you can see it a little more clearly. If I can get my, see that, right? So bullish divergence, here's the PPO, all right? Rising momentum, falling price, that's divergence. And you've got a breakout now. There's a breakout. Now, it's just 1 day, but in yesterday, it was, broke and close above. Today, they gapped it down and bid it up all day, closing back above. To me, that looks like a breakout, all right? It could go a little higher. You could wait for another day. But, I like that, all right? I think that looks good, especially with the bullish divergence, a long extended downward channel starting to break higher. I think it's likely we just impulsively start to break higher, probably run up and hit the 200-day up here at 808, and then maybe get a pullback all the way back to the trend line, bounce off of that, and then off to the races for the next kind of, swing trade higher. IAG, all right, so I've got some support lines right here, 283. Didn't quite get down there. They stepped in a little early, and we're at resistance right there at 327. So you can see lots of times we hit that as support. We're still below that right now, so I'd wait for a close above that to confirm. This one does not necessarily have bullish divergence on the RSI. And you know, it kind of does on the PPO, but we'll just call that neutral. Moving on, Harmony. All right, so we did get that pullback, like I pointed out right there at the trend line. I was expecting that. You know, so the buy zone for this was, I have it marked in green, but basically 378 was the best area to buy it, and that I was buying it down there. And you know, but again, that green zone was kind of the buy zone. It looked good. Bullish divergence. Look at the RSI. This is about an equal low, so that's still bullish divergence. And you have on the PPO, it's clear bullish divergence. And so then we moved off, you know, pretty much rallied, ran into resistance right here on this downtrend. And so now, you know, it's not objective to buy it here. I would wait either a pullback back down to support somewhere down in here. You know, you could probably buy it off this 408 area, or a break above this downtrend line. You get that impulsive breakout, and that would signal likely, you know, we're off to the races. 200 days just above, you know, overhead too. So it could break out, run up, hit the 200, chop around a little bit. Keep an eye on that. Wheaton Metals, or Wheaton Precious Metals, yep, WPM, doing exactly like I thought it would. You know, I circled it as a false breakdown. Again, I've been talking about this one for a while. Basically, you had some support. You had support right here at 37, you know, about 37.30. You can see it hit it there. Then we ramped higher and came back down. They stepped in a little early there, but we hit it there, hit it again there. And you know it's support because see how we hit it, tagged it, and then we got a reaction. You know, it bounced off with an impulsive reaction. So it tells you that that's a valid support line. You want to see that. And then we broke below. Impulsive breakdown, didn't really go anywhere though. Kept, you know, kind of dumping. But see the wicks, every time it dumped, the buyers bought it up. Dumped down, buyers bought it up, buyers bought it up. So then you look for the, you know, what I was looking for is a recovery of this 37, you know, this trend line right here. It's about 37.20 or so. A recovery and close. We got that right here. I was loading up on this thing and off to the races we go. So everything looks good so far from the entry. This thing's up at a high. It was up 6%, but it's up 5% in a couple days. Looks good. I think we're heading straight up to this trend line at 43, you know, 43.50, depending on when we get there, of course. So we're likely to run up, get a reaction, you know, sell off a little bit, and then we'll wait and see, you know, then you wait for the break of the trend line. But high probability is to run up and tag that trend line right now. All right. Anglo Gold, Ashanti. All right, bullish divergence. See the RSI? See how we're moving up in momentum? The PPO has bullish divergence. So this price action I have circled was divergent low price action. And sure enough, we've got a move above it. What you could do, what I'd probably want to do is wait for a break back above this 2306 area, a daily close above there. And we also have this downtrend line that are coming in, you know, lots of resistance basically right in this area. So if you can break above all this dual resistance, this one looks really good. I think you'll run right up to the 200-day, possibly get rejected back test, and then off to the races. So, you know, I like that one if you break those resistance lines. Barrick Gold. All right, so bullish falling wedge right here. We undercut that wedge just briefly, and it snapped right back and recovered. And now we're moving right to the top of the trend line, or, you know, the resistance line. So we'll struggle there maybe a day or two, and then we're going to watch for the breakout above this. We break above, I think it's off to the races, looks good. You know, and starting, we have bullish divergence right there, I believe, just starting to get it. It's not that well defined. No, actually, never mind. Let me look here. Yeah, we do. So this was your divergent low, just that little undercut right there. That was your divergent low. So we have it. It's not great, but it is there, and it's on the daily. So when you see it on the daily, it's good. You know, it gives you a higher probability that you're going to get more than just a little move, and then, you know, you're actually going to get a real tradable trend. Okay, Royal Gold. So Royal Gold has a downtrend. You've got kind of a reaction high here, and you have a reaction here, and a reaction there, and a reaction there. On this one, you also have, you know, you've got lower support down here. Now, you can see we're starting to get a break above there, above that downtrend line. So that's a breakout, not extremely impulsive. It would be nice to see something a little more impulsive than that. Another thing to look at is you do have bullish divergence on the RSI. Let me zoom in, and you can see it right there. And bullish divergence on the PPO. So you can see how the momentum is moving higher, and yet each one of these lows was a divergent low. And if you zoom in, you can see the behavior of what happened when you made these divergent lows. The buyers were there. See this one, you ran all the way down here, and the buyer stepped in and bid it up. See the big long wick? Here, you got a wick, the buyers bid it up, the buyers bid it up. There's some indecision right here. That's what this, I forget what they call this thing, but it shows that there was a battle happening here where the sellers were pushing it down, the buyers were bidding up, and it's an indecision candle. And then you can see what was the decision that was made. Well, it was made up. So the bulls won the battle, and we're moving up, starting to break higher. I like it to the upside. You do have, let me zoom in, you do have some resistance right up here sitting at about 113.30. All right, so as I zoom in, that's just, we're likely going to go hit that, get a reaction, some sort of a, either a reaction's either going to be just a consolidation where it kind of just chops sideways, or you get a pullback. But then I think you're going to go higher. But as of right now, that's what I see in that one. Let's look at Agnico Eagle. See that? I've got it circled where you have a divergent low, basically. See, this low price action was made on an equal low in the RSI and the PPO. So we didn't go any lower. We just stayed equal with the former low, which was back here. So this was your former low. Here's your low in momentum. Then you made a new low down here, and you made an equal low in momentum. That's a divergent low. That signals that you're likely going to start to reverse that downtrend soon. Doesn't mean it's reversing now. It just means soon. Well, we also had some support right here at 57.92. All right, that comes back to here. You can see lots of, we broke, held it right in here, held it here, held it all through here. Nice. Let me zoom in just to show you guys this candle. See this breakdown? See, we opened right here, and it bid it right back up right above support. So all these closes were pretty much above support. Little close right there, slightly below, but close enough. And then you can see we've now recovered that. So we broke down, false breakdown, recovered it. That's bullish. I think we're heading up to this trend line all the way up here. You can see this downtrend line, a series of reactions here. So I think we're heading up there, 68.50 or somewhere right in there. Likely going to get a reaction up there. Let's look at Franco-Nevada. Same deal. Downtrend channel right there. We broke below the channel. That's a low probability area that it's going to remain in that direction. This was a bullish setup, and you broke down, and low probability area. When you broke down, you put in bullish divergence. See it right there? On the RSI. The PPO did not have bullish divergence, so kind of mixed signals there, but we did get in the RSI, and then the buyers were there buying it up, and sure enough broke. Once you break back into the channel, the participants realize that was a false breakdown, so the shorts cover, the longs get emboldened and buy, and so then you get pretty impulsive move. Just 2 days, right? We didn't quite get to the top, but pretty close. And that's in 2 days, that's a move of 6-7%, 6 6.75%. So again, I like that, and because we broke down to the bottom of that trend line and recovered, I think it's likely we're going to break the top of the trend. All right. Of course, you want to wait for the breakout. If you're not long yet and you didn't buy it down here, then you probably want to wait. In general, a lot of these miners are looking bullish. All right, that's really the summary of this video. So thank you. Check out my training course if you guys want to learn how to use technical analysis to find trades. It's a $99 course for about 5-6 hours worth of training. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the course, so I think it's worthwhile. And then I do have that live stream I'm going to do tomorrow morning. So if you're able to make it, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 in the morning, we'll go through some subscriber picks, and really we're just going to do a Q&A where people can ask, have me analyze charts, and I'll spend about an hour doing that. So hopefully I see you guys there, and have a good weekend.